I am Mallory Krieger with Terra Ilosa LLC. I'm an independent consultant who works with the other members of the Regenerative Grazing Partnership here in East Central Illinois. The Regenerative Grazing Partnership is a collaboration of 6 organizations: Terra Ilosa LLC, the Pasture Project at the Wallace Center, the Land Connection, Champaign County Soil and Water Conservation District, the University of Illinois Extension, and Illinois Soybean Association.
The Regenerative Grazing Partnership is a collaborative group of different organizations that came together with the vision of increasing knowledge and awareness of regenerative grazing practices in the Embra watershed, which is in southeastern and east central Illinois. But we also do work outside of that area and just want to increase the technical assistance that's available to growers who are interested in incorporating livestock and grazing into their operation.
We live in an area that is dominated by corn and soybean production, and much of the acreage would benefit from being returned either to perennial pasture or to incorporate livestock into those rotations by grazing cover crops or adding perennial legumes as part of a longer rotation. And by getting predominantly cattle back on the land, but also other smaller ruminant species and poultry in a pastured situation, helps improve soil quality, soil water holding capacity, water infiltration timing, general biodiversity on the farm, which provides ecosystem services that help both the production qualities of the farm and the general environment and ecosystem in the area. So we want to try to get more animals back on the land so that our communities can see those benefits, and added on top of all of that, increased resiliency and profitability for farm operations, which is always the end goal, because if a farm is not profitable, the farm can't operate and we won't see those outcomes.
So we are currently funded by North Central Region SARE to conduct some advanced regenerative grazing built off of a couple of years of efforts to get some introductory, what is regenerative grazing and what does it mean for getting cattle back onto the land.
And this project has included a number of activities. We began with a series of online webinars that focused on marketing and profitability, and then did a series of on-farm field days to address the differences in grazing in the summertime versus the wintertime, as well as a number of office hours to provide grazers and advisors alike the opportunity to ask questions directly to knowledgeable experts.
You know, when technical advisors are putting together educational materials, we focus on spring, summer, and fall, but we never really talk about those winter topics. So we're diving deep as well into what it means to have livestock in the winter in Illinois.
We have been doing a 2-day grazing intensives, grazing field day for winter operation. So right now it's March, and we're really focusing heavily on keeping cattle through the winter time on pasture. So our first day speakers really focused heavily on grazing cover crops and maintaining forage quality, as well as watering systems and kind of preventing some trouble areas. And then our second day speakers have been talking about herd health and preparing animals to go into the winter, making sure that they're healthy and well fed going in so that we can avoid getting into trouble later on. We're also going to be talking about managing feeding strategies and how we can protect our ground as well from high traffic areas. So one of the really unique things that we were able to do with this particular set of field days was through our SARE funding, we provided each participant with a 5-gallon bucket full of all kinds of grazing tools. So we have a forage grazing measuring stick, we have a trowel for soil samples, we have a metal sift for taking slump testing for measuring soil quality. We have a thermometer, several different guides and manuals talking about soil health, forage quality, forage guides, some invasive species management. And all of these items were purchased through our SARE grant to really help give our grazers kind of a jump start and give everybody something to take home to kind of pair with the topics that we've been speaking about for the last 2 days.
The final piece of the project is hosting what we're calling office hours. So office hours are a virtual webinar series, but it's more of an informal discussion featuring at least one ag expert or ag professional, and then a farmer to accompany them in discussion.
And they have a joint presentation, and then we kind of open it up to the participants to share questions and discussion. We had 6 office hour sessions in the series, and they were approximately monthly, and they were an hour long each session. We just wanted it to be a chance for participants to be able to connect with ag professionals and experts and to just discuss some of their experiences and some considerations for regenerative grazing. We were able to produce this webinar series through generous funding through SARE, and they were offered on the Regain platform, which is the Regenerative Ag Idea Network.
And really the goal of these field days was to promote and educate regenerative grazing to educators so that then they can take that knowledge and information and be able to talk some of the lingo, provide some of the resources to people who are interested in regenerative grazing, whether they are already involved or just curious. And so we are providing technical service providers with the information so that then they can go forward and continue to educate on regenerative grazing practices in the Embroil watershed as well as throughout Illinois.
Grazing is a big component of my job as a beef cattle educator, and if we're going to sustain beef cattle grazing in the state of Illinois, I'm interested in regenerative practices and how cattle can be a component of regenerative grazing.
I think having these activities and workshops can help get people together. You know, there's always a better way to do something. So to pick each other's brains better and to sort of increase communication, whether it's your neighbor or whatever, you can always do something better.
It gives a different perspective every time I go out on the farm and meet with somebody. I pick up different things and I learn and try to assimilate what I've learned and put it back to each new operation that I meet with, and because every operation is different.
I think the more exposure you can get for regenerative grazing, you're going to increase people's interest, and then through that interest, hopefully you increase the practice.